cameras up, and we're live. What is going on, everybody? How are you all doing? Happy Father's Day, or I guess it would be belated Father's Day, to all my fellow film dads out there. I'm rocking this new hat that my little girl, and I got my little new mug. It was pretty cool that my little girl got me. Well, she didn't give me because she's 8. Uh, while though she does have her own money that she's worked for, but definitely not enough to get all this. So I know her mother definitely helped her out with that. But I still appreciate it anyways, and I want to give my love and support to all the fathers out there first and foremost. If you're new to this stream for the first time, welcome. My name is James Jackson. I am mainly a cinematographer, but I also direct, and I am a colorist, and I also do some editing. But DP and colorist are sort of my main line that I do. But at the end of the day, I am someone who loves the art of filmmaking, and I love filmmaking equipment and gear. I love learning as well as educating and teaching and helping people grow in the world of filmmaking. And I do these streams. I'm trying to do them once a week to where we can sort of catch up on the news that has come out for the week, as well as sort of find ways that we can sort of talk and sort of learn about as we navigate. Because this is really an up and down season. Yes, with especially with big things happening right now in terms of production. Right now the World Cup is is in full swing right now. If you guys didn't see, I actually made a little short video where I was doing a watch. I went to a watch party in Philly for Brazil versus Haiti, which the game was not as fun as I was hoping to be, but the vibes were still good and the vibes were there. Anyways, this week, let me know if you guys hear me in chat. Also, because I am, as you guys can see right here, I'm using a new microphone, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So if you guys are here in chat, definitely let me know. Speak up. We are going to be talking Sony. That's the big news that is coming out last week is that the rumors of a new FX coming very soon is in the works. So we're going to talk about that. I'll give my thoughts about that. Also, there's some news that came out last week as well that is kind of Blackmagic related, but not directly. But we'll get more into that later. And I kind of want to just the real thing that I hope that you talk about. Hopefully, you guys will stay around. Is I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of getting burned out by all the marketing in my face about, especially the way this year's cycle of marketing has gone. Particularly around a lot of these other cameras, smaller cameras, whether it's GoPro with the Mission ones or Luna or the DJI Osmo 4P. I'm just getting drained because it feels like I'm getting bogged down. I'm getting hit in the head to just try to empty my pockets and just put myself more into debt. And if you're with me on that, one, hit a like so YouTube also knows you want to hit this and other people can see this. But also, throw it in the chat. Let's conversate because I don't like just talking about problems. I also like bringing some solutions, and these are some things that I have been doing that have to avoid what we all like to call gear acquisition syndrome, but also just find ways that sort of can make us like focus on what's the real important thing, which is the art of filmmaking. Anyways, um, let's get right into it. Like I said, let me know in chat. Let me know how I sound. But let's kick things off with the big news that pretty sure everybody, especially over the week, past couple days that we talk about, is that, as we know, rumor outlets, Andre Pizzini, he came back from vacation and then dropped some major news that he's getting word that yes, a new FX camera is coming soon. This is something that he's been talking about. My guy Simon Yates, aka you guys know him as Ordinary Filmmaker. They've all been talking about that. There was a terms of looking to be an FX camera coming. Most people assumed this would be the FX3 Mark II. Um, uh, for but now, as I'll put the article up, uh, Andre came out last week and basically said, yes, there is. Like, he's getting now started to get information of that a new FX is coming, but it is not the FX3. It looks to be something different. And also, some news just came out. He there's another news thing that he broke today, so we'll get to that. But if you've been living on the rock for the past couple of days, like there's now rumors coming out that Sony's getting ready to launch a new FX line, but it's going to be a completely different lineup. There's going to be as he points out, it will not launch a new FX3 or FX2 successor. It will be a completely new kind of camera. It will be designed to compete against the Canon C50, is what he's reporting. Um, it's not an evolution of any new camera. It's a major step forward. And it has a ton of new tech and also features, as many of you requested over the past years. So we'll start there first. And many people saw this and was assuming that this would be okay. Oh, Sony's going to bring Open Gate. Okay, we're going to finally get Open Gate, and that look, it may be possible. Because it could be some people going wild. It's like maybe it's internal raw recording. Um, look, it could be possible as well. Um, but it's interesting, and it's actually interesting because of the next article that I will show you that he released today, where he goes into our and also just I got the FX3 right here so I can kind of show, because he went into some of the new design features that he's being told of what's coming with the FX3. So I have this in here in my hand. And for if you're wondering, because I normally have the FX3 as my camera for these streams, what's filming right now? Well, what's filming me right now is the cinema camera 6K full frame. Also, I have the autofocus on that as well. But let's cut to this real quick. And it's as he points out, that was the news. So now the new item that he's talking about is the FX model is a modular camera that adopts an FX like 3 style body, but moves away from the standard alpha camera design language. Its body layout and button configurations are more professional. The right side abandons the traditional button arrangement. The most notable change is that the removal of the standard direction control wheel in favor of an enter dial button. So, and if we'll scroll down here, he's referring to this. So, if you guys see back here, so no, he's probably like there's this like normal like alpha style dial wheel back here. It's so the it looks like the design is going to be more akin to a Burano in terms of maybe the layout features. The big six menu is looking to be things that are sort of more aligned to like a big six menu. So even though it's going to be like an FX3 style body, but but the design thesis, we'll say, of this new camera is going to be more akin to the Burano and the Venice, which is a very interesting thing. Also, he points out that the threaded mounting points on this new body differs from the FX3. The top of the modular body supports an XLR handle, so as you guys can see, it does. This will basically similar to this, but it will also support an external EVF and SDI expansions. It requires a new peripheral setup, as it points out, meaning any existing camera cages designed for the FX3 will not be compatible with this new camera. So basically, and that's essentially the gist of what he's of what he was posted. So it does. So is it possible that we'll get something like internal raw recording? That may be a possibility because it seems like this new one is aligning a lot more with the Burano and the Venice, giving a more cohesive, I guess, symmetry to cinema cameras. And the fact that a lot of the body design is going to be more integrated with sort of the thesis of something like a Venice or a Burano, it seems like that's sort of the direction uh, it's going to be that way, which is going to be very, very interesting. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if they will put I don't think they'll put internal raw recording. I think it would be a really big benefit for Sony to do it, mainly because they're the only camera manufacturer. Actually, no, they're not. They're not the only camera manufacturer at this point. Um, but there's a lot of camera manufacturers right now that have internal raw recordings. You got Lumix, you got Blackmagic, you got Nikon, of course, with the adoption of Red, they got that, and Canon. Their key competitors all have internal raw recording. So it would make sense for them to try to maybe build a system that design it. But I also, if and since it's looking to be a redesigning, a very different designing, sort of to compete against something like the C50. I'm also interested to see maybe there's also a redesign of media, meaning maybe this one is going to move away from CF Express Type A, and at the very least, there may be one CF Express Type B slot. Because if we get a CF Express Type B slot, even though I'm pretty sure CF Express Type A could handle raw data transfers, I but if it was to move into CF Express Type B, which is cheaper, but also it would provide a good signal that, oh, they are looking for internal raw. But I'm just not sold on. I'm like, look, I'm not sold on that yet. So it's a wait and see. Um, and also, again, this is very, very little things, so we don't know a lot about this camera. Obviously, open gate is probably what everybody is thinking because everybody has moved on to open gate, and I think the writing. So Sony's not dumb. Sony knows the writing is on the wall that um that they need to move into this market because they are getting left behind really, really quickly. As I think them and Nikon are right now the only. I think they're the only brands, major brands at least, that it does not have an open gate support function. Because Canon, Lumix, Fujifilm, um, they all support. They have some sort of open gate board, and also give. I think what's also really pushing it is, you know, smartphones with like Apple's iPhone 7 that lets you shoot open gate as well. And I also should point out that we'll get to the iPhone because I'm going to bring that up for the later discussions that I want to have. However, I will just say this: I think a Hue body design will be cool. However, if it's a body design and an open gate option, um, I personally don't know if it's enough for me to move on. I will be say this: I think the FX3 is still an all around awesome camera. I have no qualms. I have never had issues with the image. I've never felt I needed more. So I don't need more megapixels. And let me, by the way, say this is just me. I know everybody's different. And if you guys feel different, please throw your opinions in the chat. That's what this is all for. Throw your opinions in the chat. Me personally, I just never feel the need to like have more Ks or more resolution or things like that. The 4K on this is not even the yes, the sensor technology. Oh, sure, it is. So is the RA Alexa's sensor, and that sensor is still top dog. It's still like that. Its sensor is still like the most popular in film festivals and things like that. If the sensor technology is good, there's to me there's far more better investment in values that you can upgrade, whether if it's lenses, whether if it's audio equipment, whether if it's maybe the things like lighting, monitoring. Like, there's so many different things that you can do to help not only improve your image but also improve your experience. That can go, to me, much farther and long term without having to drop multiple thousands of dollars. I'm assuming this is probably going to be around $4,000. Probably sit somewhere between the FX6 and the FX3, which means it's probably going to be around probably $4,500, $5,000. Which actually no, if Andre what Andre is saying is true, now I think about it, it has to be around the $4,000 mark. It has to. Otherwise, it can't compete with the C50 at $3,900. It just can't. You can't tell me it's if what his sources are telling him is to be true, that they're just getting ready to try to design this to compete with the Canon C50. That tells me this has to be around the $4,000 price mark, because $4,500, $5,000, you're no longer competing with the C50, and a lot of the other things going on. But yeah, would it be open gate would be great? Yes. However, and I'll say this, and then I'm going to open this up and I'm going to check the chats and see things. I will just make this one final thing. If this is a whole new body, hey, I'm cool with that. But I will say this, Sony, and I'm looking right at you in the camera. If you put open gate on this camera, you best believe you better put open gate on the FX3. Because let's cut the BS. That's like, the camera is more than capable than to process 4K open gate. We all know it. The processor is fast enough. The sensor technology, it's capable of doing it. Right now you even have the codec to do it with HEVC. You have an HEVC codec in there, so you could do open gate with the FX3. Even if maybe that you don't have the codec, or maybe there's a better codec. There's HEVC codecs like an HEVC 444, H.265 444 codec. You could put in there and do open gate, or 422 10-bit like Canon as well. Yes, if you put open gate in this new camera, great. But you best believe you better put this in the new camera, because if Sony doesn't put open gate in the FX3, I don't know what my next move will be, because I feel like that would be a slap in the face for a lot of people who've been supportive of the FX3 and still support it. It's still a great camera. I want it to be max, just like the Cinema Camera 6K, which I'm filming on right now. I bought it at that discounted price at $1,600, but Blackmagic continues to update it. Right now, it has the autofocus. As you can see, I'm moving in and out. The autofocus is on, and it works great. They continue to develop it. I know that they're continuing to develop and add things in there, even though they have their RGBW sensor cameras. They're still updating it, continue to bring value. There is no reason. This is still a very, very popular camera. There is no reason to try to dead a very, very popular camera if you have the capabilities to continue its longevity. So I think it will be a very big problem for me personally if OpenGate comes out on this new FX camera, but they will not put it in the FX3 or even the FX2 or the FX30. Or even the FX6. Like, if you could put it in this new camera, it should go to all the FX series of cameras, especially the FX6 and the FX3, because we know for a fact that the processor can handle it, the sensor can handle it, the capabilities can handle it. So the ball is on Sony's hands. So let's get to it. Ernie boy, thank you for joining. Cameras can get on cameras are getting on my nerves. New announcements, new rumors, it's all exhausting. Yeah, no, I hear you definitely on the new announcement things. And like I said, we'll get into it. I'm going into a deeper conversation regarding that. I think I got maxed out on the marketing hype a while back. What I've discovered is that while I love gear, I more and more care about what makes me comfortable while working on set while traveling. Yes, totally, Carlos. And Carlos, thank you for finally for joining me, man. I really, really appreciate you being, man. Um, and when working on something special, I think I realized I am 100% not a hype shooter, not a hybrid shooter. Oh yeah, I do that. I'm with yeah. I'm not a hybrid shooter at all, and it's also I'm with you, Carlos. I've my look. I obviously for a lot of us, I started on DSLRs. I started on a 7D. I started on a Canon 7D. My journey. Yeah, I had like a little handy Sony camera. Actually, I still have the handy Sony camera over there. But I started on I started on DSLRs, and I quickly realized I don't like taking photos. I really don't. So I knew I just was like, let me just focus on fully on video. And to me, I think one, it helped me see the difference in how a photographer thinks and how a shooter thinks, and also where the things that I would like to see in a camera. It makes while both photography and videography have a lot of um, crosses, they're also very very divergent in their needs, especially with cameras. So I quickly realized, yeah, I'm not a hybrid shooter, and that's why a lot you see I have an FX3, which is pretty much a video camera. I got a C, the Blackmagic cameras. Pretty much Blackmagic only does cameras. I don't like wasting space on features that I'm not going to use. So yeah, totally with you on that, man. Sony going after the C70 and C80 crowd. Um, yeah, yeah, I think yeah, so, but I think Andre was saying that it looks like it's more towards the C50. It's the body design is still going to be similar, but they're just robusting it and sort of really beefing up. Good to see you converted. Man, yeah. Look, I've haven't had Canon in a while. Not that Canon is not making terrible cameras. They're not. It's just the it's just to me. It's more of a lot of the things that I want to try, and I'm not talking about cameras, but things revolving about sort of basically mounts. The things that I found more interested were in other mount ecosystems, like specifically Sony, but also I really came into Blackmagic. So I've had the FX3 for a while, Gasons. I've really enjoyed it. So yeah. I wish someone would do a comparison of an open gate versus shooting in 8K. I'm a team 8K at the moment. Oh, hey, if you really want to see that, buddy, I'll definitely do it. Um, and but I don't know. My question to you, Carlos, and because I love to know what you think, man. What is what you would? What is the what is the conversation, or at least the information you're hoping to get from such a comparison? Because in the case of something like this, open gate or 8K, there's a technical perceptive that perception you can look at this for, but open gate is really I argue is an artistic perception, and art by its very nature is very individual, and it's very hard to quantify. Like it's something that it just either speaks to you or it just doesn't, you know. Um, and so doing the comparison, I don't know. I would have to. That's why I said if I was to do the comparison, I would like to know what would be the end goal of such a comparison. Like, is it just for like to do technical reasons? Because even then, it sort of misses what the artistic nature of Open Gate versus like you can argue the technical superiority of just shooting 8K. Now, obviously, me having a PYXIS 12K, I get the best of both worlds because I can shoot 8K in Open Gate. But I don't even shoot 8K. Honestly, I just shoot 4K. I shoot 4K, like 90 to 95% of the time. I shoot 4K. and I've only shot 12K on that camera one time. Like one shot I've ever shot um was in 12K. In fact, I actually shoot the 9K Super 35 mode far more than even the 8K. So, but yeah, I'll be willing to do it, but I just would like to know sort of what is sort of the end goal, because I want to make sure I can have an honest conversation about it. Okay, so my mic is maybe a little low. All right, so no problem. I'll raise this up a little. So hopefully it sounds a bit better now. Keep me posted. Everybody, keep me posted on that. All right. And yeah, I'm happy you're here, man. You're here. Sony has been fighting the internal RAW recording just like OpenGate for years. Yeah. No, no. Look, we all look. A lot of people were fighting the internal RAW recording, and then Nikon got Red to drop their lawsuit, and then bought them shortly after. So, obviously, like there's still some things, because look, Nikon still has the patent over compressed RAW because they own Red. So it's not like the patent just went away because not Nikon bought Red, but it still says a lot that Sony, there more and more of the cameras are moving to internal RAW, but not everybody has. Obviously, Kinefinity still doesn't have an internal RAW. Fujifilm doesn't have an internal RAW recording option. So it's not like Sony's like the odd man out now. But it is growing more and more like, hey, you should probably really look into this. The reason to turn their back on the FX3 could be simple as money. Oh, it's absolute. Like, if that was, look, it, again, nothing has officially happened yet, but look, Carlos, look, if they don't put OpenGate into the FX3, it will be 100% for money. And it will be 100% for money, because, like, it doesn't make sense, because it's still a very popular camera. It's still a high-end demand camera. Even if this camera drops, it still will be, in my eyes, quite a popular camera. Just it will not fit the. There will be something that will potentially fit in another mold, but it will still be a very popular camera. So yeah. So yeah, I would, but yeah, it would totally be for money. But I think it would be a gross miscalculation from Sony, if they were to do that. I know money would make their reason, but I also think they would be more successful and more financially successful if they do a firmware update to allow OpenGate on the FX3. I, because once if they do this, if they do put OpenGate, because they're going to run into this really interesting question. Because problem number one, you have the Burano, which sits way higher, way higher than whatever this new camera is going to be. What if it competes with the C50, like Andre's stating, or even if it competes with something like the C80, like Carlos is sort of thinking it will be? The Burano sits way higher, and that camera still doesn't have has an OpenGate recording option. Then you'll have cameras like the FX3, the FX6, a camera like the FX6 that still is very likely going to sit higher in the price range than this camera. So you have two cameras that are already in the higher price range, that if you do this but don't upgrade any of your other models, even though they may be older, that will send a signal to them that could be problematic. I do think they'll probably either an FX6 Mark II will come out, or they'll put OpenGate in the FX3, the FX6, or they'll put OpenGate in the FX6. But if they do it in the FX6, then everybody's going to look at the FX3 and be like, well, why not the FX3? Because it's literally the same sensor and the same processor and all the same recording options. Obviously, the FX6 will have the AVC or XAVC-I, the interim codec, which the FX3 does not have. But either way, like, you're going to create a real big problem if you put it in this camera and you don't put it in the other cameras, because there's cameras below and above it that clearly have the capabilities of doing it. So otherwise, they're going to create a camera that, if okay, you want to shoot open gate, but there's no other camera that can support that, also can be compatible with that if you want to do a multicam shoot where you're shooting open gate. Now, I know some people say it's going to be weird to shoot open gate for a multicam setup, which not really, especially if you're like streams like this, like on YouTube, where YouTube is now doing multi aspect ratio platform, aspect streaming, where like right now I'm streaming in 16:9, but YouTube will get also, if I want to do a stream to Instagram, or stream, if I'm doing a stream to their shorts and do vertical, YouTube will create a vertical aspect. So something like Open Gate will be a very, very high, a very big value for streamers as well, because now they're getting their shorts and their horizontal deliveries for streaming. So having capabilities of cameras to do that, to me, it just makes the most sense. I I will I again, I think it would be a gross mistake if Sony doesn't put open if they put open gate in this new camera, but don't put it in the other cameras. So basically, a free upgrade for open gate. I say yes. Like, yes, there should be a free firmware upgrade with the FX3 and the FX6, at the very least, FX3 and the FX6. There should be a free upgrade to where, if you're going to open gate, because we know that these cameras are capable of doing it. Will we ever see a Canon R5C Mark II? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm sure that we will. Me personally, I wasn't really a fan of the R5C. I know a lot of people are a fan of the R5C, so I don't want to knock about it. I personally am not a fan of it, and honestly, I think, from again, I'm like Carlos. I'm not really big on this sort of hybrid setup. I'm like, if you're gonna put a cinema, if you're gonna put something and put it call in a quote unquote cinema camera style body, just give yourself a cinema camera. Um, and that's just me. But I know a lot of people were very fair, love that camera, and we're happy for it. Sure, but I there's no reason for but right now there's no reason for Canon to make an R5C. Why would they do that when they got a C50, an R6, and a an R6V? They got three different cameras that kind of fit what that camera does. Why in the at least right now, why would they make an R5C2? I personally don't see it a reason. I'll go through these real quick, then I'm gonna move on to the next topic real quickly. Rumor specs do not really the rumor specs do not really add up to me. All right. Like I said, there are rumors. Rumors are rumors, so don't take everything with a grain of salt until until we get official confirmation. All right. In my opinion, what camera sub $10,000 is the best for color richness and depth as opposed to a thin image? Oh, that's an easy question. The PYXIS 12K. The PYXIS 12K. If you're talking, we're talking specifically for color richness and depth. That's the PYXIS 12K. And to me, it's very clear. I mean, the PYXIS 12K, you're getting 3.2 open gate. You're getting all the color information from a 12K sensor down into 4K. Beautiful latitude performance. It has it's got a 16-bit color. It has 16-bit color information. I know some people don't believe me when I say it's 16-bit. You can just look it's in the metadata. It's in the metadata, and you can even open any files from either any of the RGBW cameras, whether if it's the PYXIS 12K or the Ursa Cine 12K, the 17K, or even the original Ursa Mini 12K. They have 16-bit color information in those cameras. The richness is just there. The ability, so much ability you can push and pull with those cameras is insane. It's not even close. It's the PYXIS 12K at $5,500 for me. again, if we're talking just purely like color richness, as you point, color richness and depth, the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K. Um, there's there just isn't any other camera in my opinion that comes close to those cameras for that. The only well, I won't say that. All right, I won't say that because I know I got some red users in here. I'll I will say the KX maybe the KX maybe, but I personally feel the colors are the KX may be the other option. Um, and I will say Ken Affinity. Ken Affinity's you can look at something like the Marvel LF. I can't speak on the Vista yet, because the Vista, the little bit of the Vista, it does have richness, and the Vista's option is great. So there's that. So either the Ken Infinity, I would say the Ken Infinity cameras. You can look at the Komodo X, because again we're talking under $10,000. But to me, the best one for me is the PYXIS 12K. Um, it has all. It's not only the and that goes beyond to what you're talking about. It goes into the various forms of aspect ratios, resolution, frame rate, recording options that it can provide in such a small package. There just isn't any other cameras that can really do what that camera can do in the market. All right. Let's get through these real quickly. Sony has to deliver this time, or else I'm tempted to try Lumix S12 or wait for a mythical Blackmagic in original FX style body. All right, look, I I'm not one to just jump shift, and I because Sony is very high demands here in the Philly area that I'm at. And also the rental, especially the rentals of Sony, because they're such in high demand, the rentals are still pretty solid. I don't know if I can fully say that I would fully leave Sony. I will say though, I my use case for my FX3 may dwindle quite a bit. Um, because again, I'm not looking to get this camera, so I'm looking to see will if Sony's going to show up and throw some more updates to the FX3. If I don't see that, I may just throw this into just rentals and have this just be there to make myself money, and then explore other options like maybe the Vista or uh, some other cameras, or explore some other cameras that will fulfill my need. Because at that point, the FX3 to me is just a rental generating piece. Uh, okay, okay. That Simple Light Media. Thank you for giving me that information. I did not know that. I appreciate the knowledge. So yeah, so the Burnout does have open gate now. Awesome, that's great. So okay, that camera. The FX3 doesn't. Not the FX3. The FX6 still doesn't have it. Uh, okay, Burano's has it. That's cool. I think you got us. Now it's like, okay, let's look at the the FX6, and let's look at the FX3. So yeah, that's good. Good to hear. Thank you for that information. All right. If I needed open gate, I go for Lumix GH7. Hey, every one of them is different. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Lumix's open gates. Mainly because of their subsampling is only 420 and not 422. And like I said, the open gate out of the PYXIS it's significantly better in my opinion than the open gate out of the Lumix. But I shot open gate on the G86 when I had that camera. Rarely, but I also think it was the GA6 that made me realize, yeah, I don't like the look of the open gate out of the Lumix cameras. But that's me personally. Everybody's different, and I'm not here to knock you if you do. So again, it's a solid. It's definitely a solid, especially for in the 4.3, since that's a 4.3 format. My health is doing a lot better. I'm doing great. I've recently put a post of myself for Father's Day. I took poster and I saw, definitely a lot slimmer than when I was hospitalized. And I've actually seen older videos. I'm like, I see older videos of myself now. I'm like, man, I was puffy. I was puffy, but I'm doing a lot better. Thank you. No problem, man. Again, thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right. Uh, it will have 17 stops with their new sensor tech on the new FX camera. Again, I'll believe it. Again, I don't, I don't buy anybody's, I don't buy anybody's statement of um, dynamic range technology. And quite frankly, I don't really care at this point about dynamic range because, like cameras, I believe dynamic range has really hit a plateau. Um, in terms of in, in terms of really that being impactful right now to me it's at a point of at this the adjustments are not severe to me. I would rather invest in a cam I'd rather invest in lights or invest in I would even modifiers like bounce boards and things like that. I would rather spend more money, which would be significantly cheaper than put money into several $1,000s of money into a camera that will give me maybe a half stop, a stop more of dynamic range. I don't I don't really care anymore about 17, 18. I don't care. To me, it's gibberish. Like once you get past 15, once you or well stated 15, but I will say once you get past 13 usable stops, everything else to me is just gibberish. It's just gibberish. To me, it's just like okay, that's cute. It's sounds cool. Doesn't move the needle for me anymore. All right, so got through the comments. Let's uh, which kind of leads, I guess, that kind of leads into the next topic is which revolves more into uh talking about like again going into these cameras and these stuff that I've been talking about. I'm just y'all know how I felt about how the rollout of Insta360 Luna and um GoPro was. I've made it very clear. I think I said don't buy into the hype, and a lot of people got killed me for it. For that. Um, and of course, I brought up that hey, GoPro. I even did a news on GoPro maybe going up for sale, and a lot of people did not like that. Look, are these bad products? No, but I also flat out said these products are neither Luna to me, neither Luna or Mission One series are moving the needle. They're not. Their technology is not so advanced that I'm just like um it's going to be saving or making a big splash to me for uh it's going to be nice for a while and then it's going to trend out and it's going to fade out. And that kind of is interesting and I'm doing this article cuz I'm a bit petty because again people sort of got on me about coming down on GoPro, but this came out weeks ago. So I know I'm late, but honestly, I've been working and I was hesitant to talk about this because I know people I don't want to feel like I'm just grilling GoPro, but since so many people came for my neck for this, the reason why is because I was like, GoPro was not in a good state, and now we learn out it's really not in GoPro's really not in a good state, as now GoPro may be going bankrupt in like the next 11 months. This came out at the end of May, so this was like a month ago. So it was like in the next 12 months, they said they don't know if they could survive. Um, but yeah, uh, so so now yeah, this is sort of laid up. This is how GoPro lost 9.8 billion and the one decision that destroyed everything. You could go read this article, but essentially it talks about how like GoPro came to rise and sort of really got uh found a niche market in the adrenaline with people that seek adrenaline adventures and thrill seekers and things like that. And they sort of just focused on hardware and they didn't really advance and sort of to appease the market that really that really came for them and really helped build what they were. And then obviously DJI Insta360 came in, and they focused more so on like drone stuff, trying to focus on a lot of things instead of focusing on, solidifying the base that built them. And now we're seeing it as, and you'll even see it here as I'll scroll down. Where is, oh, I guess it went down. I went somewhere. But anyways, the main thing is here that it balloon. No, sorry. Where is it? Focus on that. All right, yeah, here it is. Q4 2015, the revenue was down 31%. 2016, guidance cut in half. Hero 4 session, $50 million entities. Um, the company today is now, the stock price is at 59 cents. It's now under $1 million, and the bankruptcy probability is like 50%. In 2024, it lost $432 million. A company that used to be $10 billion is now, as it points out, worth less than a mid-size SaaS startup. So I bring all this up because it's like, come on, there we go. I bring all this up because this is one of the reasons why I said don't buy into the hype, because I'm like, everybody was just like bringing it up and buying it. It's like, look, are there some great features, and is it a good product? It absolutely is. The Mission 1 Pro, I think is a really good product. But is it good enough to really sway things? I personally don't know. And especially in the dire state that GoPro is right now, it really needs a movement. And I don't see it. And I think the big mistake, again, they may have done it with the ILS version, but because they decided to only put in a passive mount, a micro four thirds mount, and not a active micro four thirds mount, you really hindered. And also, that was still a big if, because again, that whole system really goes against sort of what the whole point of what like a lot of these GoPros is. It's like durable things that can go into really different environments. Once you took that off, your underwater security kind of went away with that. You have to now build a whole housing, and then if you again, I'm gonna rant along to this, but I don't know how I feel about purchasing a product for a company that may not be here in a year. And that's sort of the thing I'm going to say. In regard with Luna, Luna has came out, and the hype, like the marketing push with Luna has been wild. It has been wild. There's so much it's been shoved down our throats with Luna. And look, I really love the detachable thing. I think that was a genius move by Luna. But I'm gonna be really, really, really honest, and I said this in my last streams too. I've been searching and I've been following, and I've been looking at all these people doing great grades. I think Cam Mackey probably had the best looking image I've seen out of Luna. And even his, I will be honest, there was something off about the image. And I don't know if it's the motion of the gimbal. I don't know. There's something off. Something doesn't it the motion the image just feels like smartphone. It feels like but not like iPhone 17. This feels like iPhone 12, iPhone 13, like iPhone 12, iPhone 11, like image. It to me, which doesn't I don't. So yes, they do got an advantage because they don't have to deal. They're not dealing with U.S. regulations like DJI, so they got an advantage. But I honestly still think all of them still are focusing on the wrong ops. Like everybody's focusing on DJI, and that's the thing with both Mission 1 against the actions, and Luna with obviously the Osmo Pocket 4P. However, to me, they're all focusing on the wrong ops. To me, the Apex Predator of this whole market that Luna and GoPro and DJI are all trying to. This is still the apex predator of the market. Like I don't know if you guys. I know. Well, I know most of you didn't see my video. I posted this video of this watch party I had for the World Cup, and I talked about it at the beginning of the stream. But I posted a video and I shot the whole thing on my iPhone. And I'm gonna be real. The shots that I had on my iPhone was better than anything that I saw coming out of any of the images from Luna. And to me, it's just like, and this is a camera that has three, and I got three cameras. I got three different sensors with this. I have way more reach. And I feel like I could do so much more with this than I can do with either an Osmo Pocket 3. And and this is why I'm saying I personally am not buying into hype, and because I sit there, it's like these are really cool, and that sounds cool, and again, gear acquisition starts rising up in that stomach, and then I just look at this, and I'll just go, I have used this guy on so many of my projects that I've been doing now. It's ridiculous. Like I've just wrapped production on this documentary I've been DP on for over a year. I think like a year and a half now. I wrapped production on it. And there are parts in this documentary that I filmed on this iPhone. Um, and I would pull out the iPhone way more than I would pull out the Osmo Pocket 3. In fact, in one of the last days of shooting, there was a point where we were in a car, and originally I had the idea of using the Osmo Pocket 3 for that shoot. But after a couple attempts, I quickly realized the gimbal was actually being more problematic than what I wanted to be. So I just quickly just swapped out, got my iPhone, and used that to film, and it looks great. So to me, like I'm just, and it's this whole cycle. And look, DJI ain't getting away from the smoke either, because the way they've handled the 4P is, to me, it's like, why am I getting why are we getting creators putting out videos saying, "Oh, I got this, I got the brand new Osmo Pocket 4P." I can't tell you anything. I can't show you anything, but here it is. And here's what I can say about it. I can't tell you what you really want to know, but I will tell you that I have it. And this is what it is. Like, really? Like, this is where we're at right now? Like, is the market really that dried up that we're now hyping up full releases and just not talking about the camera itself? Like, it's getting ridiculous now. I'm like, this is like, and I guarantee you, all these people that hyped up Luna, all these people that hyped up the Mission 1 series, guess what? They're going to hype the crap out of the Osmo Pocket 4P. They're going to hype the crap out of it. They're all going to do it. And all, like, this whole time, you would have thought you thought the whole time when they were talking with Luna, you would think, oh man, this is going to be the Osmo killer. And they've been making videos like that like crazy. And watch. Once that official announcement of the Osmo Pocket for 4P, whenever that comes out, I don't really care. But whenever that comes out, watch. All of a sudden, that's now the standard. That's now the GOAT of all this conversation. Like, the marketing has just gotten out of hand, and it's exhausting. Anyways, let's get to this. So, Simple Light Media, lights and how to properly light is my focus, not cameras. 100%. I've spent way more money on, well, not true, because I bought the PYXIS 12K, so I can't fully say that. But I will say over time, I probably spent more money in the past 2 years on lights than I have on, I'll say this, I spend more money on lights, lenses, and audio than I have in terms of cameras investment. But I can't really, lighting is so a great thing. Like, right now, to me, this light I'm using right now I'm using the Amaran 660C. This, and I'm using the light bank modifier. I'll continue to praise this light bank modifier. It is beautiful. This thing, I am only, I think, at like 0.5% of power. This is 0.5% power on the Amaran 660C, and it is a beautiful light. So I sound like I don't believe the Pocket 4P and Extra Muse 2 Pro have 17 stops of dynamic range. I don't. I don't. But I don't. But even if they are, even if it's like, again, even if it's 13 and a half, 14 stops of dynamic range, that's great. I don't care. I just don't care because lighting, like to me, lighting, I'd rather spend more time shaping light and finding ways to shape light that way than trying to get a camera or pushing a camera that will give me an extra stop. And honestly, even if it does have 17 stops of dynamic range, which, well, not even if it does, even if it has, but even if it doesn't, if it has 17 stops of dynamic range, or if it has like 13 and a half or 13 stops of dynamic range, even if it just has that, to me, there's so much more problems with a lot of these 1-inch sensor cameras because they're so overly processed. Um, and except for the case of Luna, which I personally feel it's too under. I actually think Luna's too under processed. If I'm being honest, it's way or some again something's wrong. There, and I won't go on about it, but to me, there's more things to be concerned about with a lot of these 1-inch sensor products. To me, that dynamic range will not resolve. There's other things that needs to be worked on with them. So I don't really care if it has additional dynamic range. I've never had issues with dynamic range when it comes with the Osmo Pocket 3. So if it has more, it's like significant more dynamic range, great. But I never had issues of terms of dynamic range with the camera. In my honest opinion, GoPro needed to hit it out of the park and hit a double. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you, Robert. But I'll be honest, I don't believe GoPro did that. I don't. It's a good product. The Mission One Pro is a good product. Um, but look, 900, like 1,000 frames a second or 960 frames a second to be exact, is not going to save it. That's not going to be a standout feature. Because also, let's just be honest, Sony did that well over Sony had that for 1-inch sensor cameras well over a decade ago. Um, if y'all remember their RX series of cameras, I remember because I rented some of them from Lens Rentals. Um, that technology's been there for a while. And look, I've seen and I actually have sample footages of the GoPro Mission 1. It's cool. It's still nothing. It's still like it's not mind-blowing. It's not mind-blowing image quality. So it's a good product, but again, it's not a home run. I honestly think Potato Jet made the Luna look good, but it is YouTube. It is a YouTube camera. It's not a cinema camera. Again, yeah. I'm by the way, I'm not looking at it as a cinema. I'll say it. I'm not looking at it as a cinema camera, but the problem I have is that the way that these YouTubers have been hyping Luna, but that's the thing. These YouTubers have been hyping this camera as if it was going to be as this is the cinematic competitor to the Osmo Pocket line of camera. This is really going to be the thing that brings that cinematic quality. YouTubers been hyping it like it is, and I'm just like, it's like guys, let's just keep it real. It's a good solid video camera, and it's a content creator camera. Is it going to be big? Of course, it's going to be big, uh, but I just think I'll be honest. I think the image out of the Osmo Pocket 3 is better than Luna, from what I've seen. I didn't really watch. I didn't watch Potato Jets. I'll probably take a look and watch his, but I haven't. Uh, yeah, they're giving out cameras for mentions. That is what is going on. I get it, but it's like, why are you giving me out for mentions if I don't if you're not going to allow to talk? Like that was the thing that was so annoying. Now I'll give this credit to GoPro for this. They didn't bump it like this. They you got majority of the major things, the major items of this camera once NAB came around. You got that. Luna and Insta360 and DJI on the other hand annoyed the hell out of me with this because it's like both of them preemptively just started just throwing like, oh, this is coming, and they having these creators out. But like, don't come out and start having people publish content. And I'll even, and you know what? As much as I love them, I'll say the same thing for Ken Infinity. Ken Infinity bundled their announcement because they made it such a big deal about the date and time and their time for when they were going to announce it. Now we ultimately did get what was coming, but the fact that there was only a very, very few select people that actually got the camera ahead of time, and it was in such a buggy state that it kind of just left a lot of people's bad taste in their mouths. And I can't blame them. But I, as someone who actually has filmed a documentary on a Ken Infinity camera, I love the image. I absolutely love the image, and I do believe Ken Infinity does put in the effort to really upgrade. But the way they handle it's like, look, you should have just had it when the camera was ready, then get people to talk about the information. Just don't try to put this hype thing. It's gotten out of hand. We are oversaturated with cameras at the moment that we will need next-gen tech moving forward. Aperture did the thing with the Nova 9 degree and Nova 2.1. Had to get them both. Blackmagic did color science too. So, I mean, yeah. Look, I'll be honest. Look, for those of you that have seen my Blackmagic review, if you haven't, definitely check out my PYXIS 12K review I'm talking about. If you haven't seen my PYXIS 12K review, first of all, definitely go check that out. I would greatly appreciate it. But I did say this in the review, which was I kind of think Blackmagic kind of did a bad thing for Mark, because I'll be honest, I don't know where. To me, I don't see a reason to upgrade. If I for me looking at the PYXIS 12K, yeah, you can put in more tech and you can put in things. Sure, a global shutter. Sure. Maybe, but even then that's global shutter. I mean, global shutter cameras have been around for a while, and they haven't really been pushed for a lot of this stuff. So, you know, outside of the current gen of red cameras, but most of the time, I remember when I believe it was the A9 III. I believe it was the A9 III that came and it had global shutter. And I remember everybody was like, okay, this is the revolution, the next revolution. Did Sony put out global shutters in any of their other cameras? No, not really. They still have CMOS sensor cameras. So the point I'm trying to say, Gabriel, is I think we've reached the point where I don't know if there's actually a reason to I don't know if technology can advance me to the degree that it's going to make me move, really advance or continue purchasing a camera. I think we have full. It's not that we've oversaturated the market. I think the market has truly plateaued. Like, there's only so much right now. It's just workflow. Right now, all we're doing is they're trying to release cameras for just workflows and functionalities and things like that. I know some people are going to talk about maybe, hey, the move to 65 millimeter cameras. That's the next big thing. I don't see that. At least not for average schmoes like me. Maybe, hey, look, I'll say average schmoes like me, because hey, y'all may be superstars, and hey, look, I'm happy you joined me if you were a superstar. But for average schmoes like me, 65 millimeter. While yes, I will. The idea of joy to be able to shoot 65 millimeter is great, but is that something that I'm going to invest my hard-earned money, especially when it's an ecosystem that is still very elite. The lenses designed for that is very elite. I mean, outside of like Dulens and a few other small Chinese companies, for large formats of like that caliber, 65 millimeter, 75, like that's still the things you need around it, you know, lenses and things like that. Those things are still going to be extremely expensive and extremely limited in accessibility, which then by the very nature will limit the accessibilities of the cameras. You know, obviously Fujifilm is kind of like Fujifilm with their own glass, but again, they're still quite pricey. they're still quite pricey. So I don't think we're going to move into like 65 millimeters. So where's the go? What technology can be had that it's going to make this next big wave of like moving markets and things like that. I I don't know. I personally don't see it right now. If you guys do see it, I would love to hear from you guys. I have not found in the price range cameras that can beat my Ursa City 12K and my PYXIS 12K. Yeah, like I said, totally agree. This is the big thing for me. Uh, I said Blackmagic with these new full frame RGBW sensors. Blackmagic may have done more damage to the market than they realize, because it's like I don't know. I don't need anything else. I got what I need. If, like I said, if I needed more frame rates, obviously I could go to the Ursa City 12K. But I don't need those higher frame rates for me personally. Everybody else could be different, but I'm perfectly happy with the frame rate options that I have on the PYXIS 12K. The dynamic range and latitude performance is still great. The color fidelity is great. Like, there's, in terms of price to performance, those are the cameras to beat, and I don't see anybody making any camera that can compete with those cameras, that are competing with those cameras, at least right now. Fishing Reel, thank you for joining, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So, what lenses do you team up with my PYXIS? Have you tried the Arius from Nisis? I have not tried the Arius from Nisis. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not really into the Nisi lenses. To me, they're too clean. I don't. They are way too clean for my liking. They're too clinical for my liking. Um, to me, the perfect balance is DZO with their Vespids, and you could say the Vespid 2s, but so my main line of lenses are the DZO Vespids. But then I have some that can push more into, that have more flaws, but they're flaws that either I want, or flaws that I want to bring out. And the big ones for me are obviously the dual lens APO primes that I have right here. I have the 31 and the 110. I use these bad boys all the time with my PYXIS. I absolutely love them. They give such a faded, like vintage. They do give a vintage look and feel. Um, but the beauty about the PYXIS is that I can explore different options. Like, again, the Vespids are my main foundational. The Vespids are my main foundational lenses, but I'm looking at other. I'm looking to try out the Seven Artisans, the floral bloom ones that are like really wonky, really like some really kooky ones. But I'm also, in terms of anamorphics, I'm looking to get into anamorphics. I pretty much am looking at the Arcanas, in terms of the Arcanas for that. So, and then look, for clinical, I think for clinical, I'll be perfectly happy with the Sigma photo lenses, mainly because I do believe Blackmagic is going to come with Blackmagic will come with face detection autofocus for the PYXIS 12K. So with that, I'll just stick with the. If I'm going to go clinical, I'll just use the Sigma lenses, because Sigmas are like pretty clinical as well. Sensor size is the next push for brands, but they will be hell of expensive. Again, that may be the push, but I guess what I'm saying is, the push for who? Like, yes, that's cool for like Hollywood and for like industry established people. I'm talking for indie filmmakers. I'm talking for like the small production teams and things like that. None of that is going to be appealing for them. Maybe rental houses, maybe every once in a while for certain projects. If you got a you got a key projects that maybe a director or somebody's working on, sure. But they're not going to have the splash like the splash that full frame had, the splash that the DSLR resolution had, the splash that like right now we've seen with Blackmagic and the Lumix with their cameras, and Canon and like, they're not going to have the impact that these other cameras have. So while that may be the next push, it's not going to be as effective. And right now we're in a global economy that people are really sort of like they're counting their coins and seeing where's their money going to go the farthest. So I think as of right now in the time period that we have, it's not necessary. I personally think it's not going to go as well as they think. I have friends who shoot on Amex, but I do not see that in my future at all. I certainly do not need six. Exactly, and Robert said it best. That's exactly my point. I don't like. Yes, there are going to be people that's going to work, and yes, there's going to be film nerds and a lot of people, even myself, that will like get see and shoot on 6x, and it's going to be a mess. But it's going to be like, okay, that was fun. Like it's like a try once thing. It's going to be fun. I got it. It's on my bucket list is ticked off, but that's not sustainable. So why did I go with the PYXIS 12K versus the Ursa Cine 12K? One, the Ursa Cine 12K was much heavier than necessary that I wanted to. I wanted a camera that I can relatively travel with relatively easily. I didn't really care for the frame rates were cool, but I let me guy I hardly ever shoot anything above 48 frames a second. Every so often I'll shoot 60 frames a second. So for me, the PYXIS 12K did all of that because all I was looking for was a 4K open gate camera that could shoot 60 frames per second, and Blackmagic delivered that, and then some, with the PYXIS 12K. So that's all I wanted. Once I got that, I'm like, there's really nothing else that I really need. The Ursa City was just extra. Look, what built-in in these would have been cool, sure, but honestly, I've moved on to the point where built-in NDs are not that vital to me. I guess maybe because I have my Tilted Mirage. I finally got a matte box, and I was like, you know what? The matte box is actually kind of valuable, and that kind of sort of devalued for me, the need of built-in NDs. And also, I got the Mofosh Poco. So, uh, I just, to me, yes, it would have been nice to have, but I don't think it's not a deal breaker for me. So for me, the main reason is just the body was smaller. I can have it designed where I can travel. Like I can have a travel bag and it would fit in it, and I could fit it, and I could shoot, and I could still be way more compact and mobile. Like I can I can throw that thing on a monopod, and that's exactly what I did. Like I did this golf shoot recently, and I I shot it entirely on the PYXIS 12K and my dual lens lenses back here. So yeah, I shot a whole golf event on manual focus lenses, and I shot it exclusively on a monopod the entire time, and it was a lot of fun, and it made it happen because of the size. Uh, Crayon, Cray, not Cray. Cray, not Cray. Hey, what's up, man? Dog, I am over new cameras. This new stuff has plateaued hard, and most people still can't tell a story with the cameras they already have. Yes, I'm gonna hold this and put this up here because I 100% agree with this. We don't need new cameras. We need new industry mindsets. Completely 100% agree, man. And I think this is sort of like the perfect segue into sort of like the main thing that I kind of want to talk about, and that is the burnout. Um, yeah, I'm over it. I'm over new cameras. Like, look, and that's sort of what I kind of was feeling about when this new extra. Like, I'm cool to just see what's coming with it, and I'm only curiously covering this new FX camera to see what Sony is going to do with the FX3. Will they firmware update? Because then that will dictate sort of what I'm going to do. But it ain't going to be upgrading to this new camera because, quite frankly, I don't see a reason to spend several thousands of dollars off. Like again, this is likely to be $4,000. I'm not here to spend four plus thousands of dollars, 4,000 plus dollars on something that I feel could have been a firmware update. It's what I felt. It's what I felt about something like um, going from the R5C to some other cameras from Canon. It's like you could have really done this with a firmware update on the R5, but you didn't. And I'm just sick. I'm sick and tired of camera manufacturers just artificially limiting cameras just so they can sell you the next thing. And this even goes to Apple. This whole conversation sort of came up because I saw this video about an application, this new app designed for iPhones. And you can use it for not just like the new iPhone 17 Pro Max, but even the older ones. And basically, they found a way to bypass the processing that Apple has on their iPhones by going through the raw photo portion of it, and basically they can do their own process. In this case, they use H.265 and ProRes, but you can shoot internal 4K open gate, 4x3 open gate with this application. Now, there's significant drawbacks with the applications. I won't go into it, but the point I'm trying to make is that we have enough. I wish camera manufacturers would focus more on, okay, we have enough. Let's find a way to amplify this, because there's a lot. Because right now, yes, we are in an economy that is just, it's just you're going to be very selective. And to me, we've reached the point where camera, like, is there anything? Look, yes. Oh, the sensor technology on the FX3 is super old. Yes, it is. Is it did it all of a sudden become bad and unusable? No, it didn't. Um, I've had the Cinema Camera 6K for 3 years now. I've had it for 3 years now. Um, has the quality on this degrade? No, no, it hasn't. Has some things shown to be better? Yeah, but is it better enough that it deserves to offset and put you more into debt? I don't think so. And I will give Blackmagic their flowers for this. They continue they continue to update even very older cameras. I'm like, we can't forget that Blackmagic updated the Blackmagic Pocket 4K to have ProRes RAW enabled in that camera. So even something that I think at this point is almost 10 years, I think it's what, 8 years old now? The camera's 8 years old, and they're still updating these cameras. So to me, it's like, it's about showing the value in in terms of investments that we are doing here. And so because of that, I'm like, I'm not trying to push new cameras unless there's some, like, the reason why I was excited for Kid Infinity, because it actually was hitting an area that I really was like seeking for, which was this, like, a small body camera that's really compact that you can just have out as personal, that can go out, travel. It was hitting it. It's splash and dust resistant. It has an extremely long battery. It has a really low power watt, so you can do extremely long battery life. Beautiful LCD. It was designed, it's like, hey, I don't need to do this crazy rig to make this work. It can work just fine. The bugs kind of just sort of thawed out, but also to give a fact is that once it was revealed what the capabilities of the camera was, I was like, oh, you're just the Cinema Camera 6K full frame. And that kind of is what it is. And that's when I realized with the Confinity, I was like, oh, I already have what I want. With that camera, I already have it in the Cinema Camera 6K. Why am I going to stress about this camera? So with that, I decided, I think there's other things that so what is the solution? I guess what I'm trying to say is the solution to this gas. And to me, I mean, there's some obvious ones. Hey, disconnect from social media. Disconnect from that. Yes, it's cool to see our favorite influencers in chat, but sometimes it's just need to pull the plug. Like, I love, like, Brandon Washington is my boy. Brandon, like me, I like, look, I dog on Jarrell sometimes, but I have nothing but love for Jarrell and Brandon Washington, and I love what they do over at Creative Family. But there's reasons why I don't necessarily always engage in the weekly live streams, and that's just mainly because I just need a break from everything for every so often for the world, and just focus on, the actual world that I actually occupy in the local region that I occupy. And I think that has actually helped me out sort of get away from this whole constant marketing, gear marketing cycle. It's just getting more involved. Um, for me, I think so. One, disconnect from the internet, disconnect from the social media ever so often, but also find. I think it's for me the thing that really has helped me is like just going out and just to networking. There's so many local networking functions and local network things and getting involved in different things um, that can really one help you hone what you really want to do and find the people that you and find people that you can build long lasting relationships that can help you, not only you as a creative, you as a person, but also you as a business. You could that people can see the work you do, give you the ability to use the work that you give the ability to create work that you want to do and and build something together. That's why um I have been, if you guys seen my collaboration videos, if you're not, definitely checking my channel. I have a bunch of collaboration videos. A lot of that, while it is coming from my company, a lot of it's work that I've been doing. I've worked with a chamber of commerce here, the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce, which and been helping them and been working with them to do a lot of video content. And the thing I love about the relationship that I have with the organization is they have given me free reign to do what I do. Like that's one of the things, and that's sort of like they're not saying, "Oh, you got to do this, do this." No, there's some guidelines because at the end of the day, I'm collaborating with them to make sure they get what they need to help boost them and their member and to provide value to their members. But there's not a list of, oh, it has to be done this way. It's basically saying, hey, you do what you want. And also there's no obligation. I don't have to film. Like I said, I film the golf event, but I'm not obligated to film like these different events. I do it because I want to. I do it because it's a great opportunity to meet new people and meet new connections. And and getting out there, and so one, just going out and meeting and finding like local networks. The other thing is like certain applications, like I'll bring this one up. Meetup. Meetup is an app that I use now quite a bit, where you can uh, you can basically find groups that is in your local area. Especially out in Philly, there's a lot of creative. You can find arts and creative people and arts and creative groups. So if you're trying to look for creative and creative mindsets and just build a network and build a foundation, that's a good way to do it too. Just go out and just sometimes it's like, hey, let's just chill, vibe, and talk for a bit, and then as that goes, that can help build the creative juices, and you're actually going to shoot. Because when you can actually build a portfolio, and especially it's work that you do and it's work that you love, um, that will bring more value and it will bring you more opportunity than a brand new camera and a new technology. So I'm gonna leave that there, and let's go to the chat and let's continue this conversation. So, for you guys, definitely, what are some things out of the internet? What are some things that you guys sort of been doing to help bring value to you as filmmakers, videographers, content creators? Let me know. So, okay, you and Flash, you guys are talking. Uh, have I seen the Kippertie revolver system for the Indies? If you're talking about the one that's been out for a while, yeah, I've seen it, and look, I do enjoy it. I think it's a good indie system. It's a great concept, and I do think it. I think the design for me particular is I feel like I feel like it's too clunky for my design. And in terms of a design, it feels too big and little wonky for my taste. It's but in terms of like the quality, the Kipper dies are great, but I just feel it's it doesn't gel well with what how I like to build out my rigs, because I like to be as minimalistic as possible with my rigs. Like right now, like my cinema camera 6K, there's no really a rig. I just have the camera. I have it plugged up, but and I have a lav on top, but that's it. Is the Canon R6V best release of the year so far? Um, I mean, so far, I I don't know, maybe. Um, I will say this: it was the I will say it probably had the best solid launch, because the A7 because the A75 came out because the A75 came out last year, so that doesn't count. The PYXIS came out last year, so that doesn't count. So for this year, sure. But the bar is kind of low. So I guess the answer is yes, but I also will say, well, the bar is really, really low this year, in my personal opinion. Do you plan on shooting a feature at some point? Are there possibilities for a 2B type feature? Um, yeah, definitely. Uh, Look, I would love the DP. I actually have a short film that I still need to finish. Um, I have a short film that I did that I still need to finish. I would love to do a feature. Yeah. It just needs to be the right project, and the right project and the right one has to come my way. To me, if it goes to Tubi, Netflix, I I just love that. I would just love to have it done. Would it be nice to go to something like Netflix? Sure. Is it like a must thing for me? No. Like it's the same thing for me. It's like uh, uh, Academy Awards. Like, yeah, if I ever win an Academy Award, it's cool, but I'm not gonna. If it never happens, or if like a nomination never happens, I will never. I won't lose sleep. Let's see here. You're in Philly, right? What's been my favorite networking event? Um, there's a few. I will say the I would say in terms of the business, there's two. There is the what's it called? Let me just start with the other one. The other one is Philly Ad Club. Um, the Philly Ad Club has been. I met some good people during that. Um, the other one is Rough Cuts. Rough Cuts is the other one. So Philly Ad Club is more like I won't say a B to. It's more like a B to B. Like it's a good place to meet if you're into commercial work, um if you're a business yourself and if you're trying to do B2Bs, that's that Philly Ad Club is great for that, especially in the commercial space. Um, in terms of the rough cuts, which that's I think once it's like the first Wednesday of every month. That's a great place for creatives. That's a great place to just meet filmmakers and people in the film industry, because people get to show their it's exactly as it sounds, their rough cuts and things like that. So and they get feedback. So you get people in the industry a lot. That happens, I think, every like yeah the first Wednesday of every month. So those to me are the two, but I'm also out in the Montgomery County area. So I've been heavily involved with the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce recently, and they've been doing a lot of great those for small businesses. Um, they've been great. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. And again, that's this is hearing that sort of to me vindicates sort of what I that I glad I that last summer I took the initiative to really start going out and networking and just attending different events. And I was able to connect and rub hands with the chamber. Uh, but yeah, those. those series, even though I don't, I get severely underpaid for that, but the connections that I get out of that make up for that. Especially since a lot of the stuff is very small, and like I can turn those projects around in like 24 hours. So like I turn like four of them around in like 24 hours. So that to me is well worth like the underhanded part of it. Working with nonprofits. Are you doing the free plan on Meetup? Yes, I am. It's annoying. The free plan on Meetup is annoying, as you probably noticed when I put up the application. Yeah, I have. I've just like, to me, I'm like, I I rather make my connections face to face. I'm a type of person that likes to come face to face. Like even tomorrow, I'm meeting a marketing team tomorrow, where we're gonna have conversations over coffee, and then even Wednesday, I have meeting with someone who's doing some entrepreneurial business consulting. They're doing a workshop. They invited me out, so uh, uh, I hope to take a look at it. But yeah, so yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Absolutely, I'm happy to help. Um, yeah, that's to me. That's to me sort of some of the more important things. It's like, yeah, okay, all these camera stuff is cool, but let's actually build healthy opportunities for each other. You know, I don't know what I can do in terms of just right now. I know the thing I can do is like show what has been working for me, and hopefully I can hopefully help have it to where it could be helpful for you. But yeah, one of the things that someone told me when one of my good friends told me, when I was going through a rough patch, especially in 2023, and the one thing he told me was like, you gotta go out, show people who you are, you got to show the value that you bring. You gotta show your value, and um, that couldn't be more true. But I always struggle to figure out how to show my value. And even now, I will be completely open, and honest. Even now, sometimes I question like how to show my value, even though I know what my value is. Being able to show my value, um, is something that sometimes I struggle with. But I didn't hear. But when I continue to hear the feedback, and when I continue the people that I see on a consistent basis now, and they see my work, and they and um, I'm getting both constructive feedback, but as well as, hey, we love what you do. Hey, let's sit and let's talk. That to me, says I'm heading in the right direction, and I'm making the right moves. It's look, it's a steady pace. It's a steady pace race. We can't just speed rush it. Some people are lucky and can, but you can't speed rush building relationships. It takes time. It takes a long time. So you so the question I leave with you guys is like, do you want to drown yourself into more debt because of new cameras, or go out and put yourself out there and uh, connect with people that can see the work, and even uh, maybe connect with other creatives that can help you be constructive and help you build up, and help you get help yourself improve. You know, that's one of the things I always do. It's like I put myself out there, but I also have people like provide honest feedback on the work that I do, and it's been very, very helpful. But it is 7:35, so I think I'm getting ready because I don't see any more. I'll leave a couple minutes open, or like a minute. I'll probably leave like a minute or so open. So uh, if no other comments or any questions or something come through, again, you can ask me anything. Ask me anything. I'll be happy to do. Otherwise, I'll probably just end the stream. Just to let you guys know, again, I switched up the audio. So right now, I am The audio that's coming out of this is the Audio Technica ATV SG1. I actually recently just did a video. I reviewed this. I reviewed this microphone. This microphone has literally like blown me away. I absolutely love this microphone. But I have that. I have that going into a Rode Wireless Pro transmitter, and then the receivers on the Cinema Camera 6K full frame, and that's sort of what you guys are hearing right now. So, one, I would love to know from you. Also, know from you guys, like, if you guys, how do you guys feel about this quality of audio compared to what I had before? Because I'm really, really interested to seeing what this would be like. But so yeah, let me know. Of course, Flash, absolutely, man. Like, look, at the end of the day, we're all trying to turn our passions into possibilities. So, I'm still on the road. I'm nowhere near at the end of the road. But at the very least, what I can do is uh, give guidance to the road I've already walked, and so you guys don't have to trip and fall. Which is one of the reasons why this year specifically I've been very, very selective of cameras. One, cameras I'm going to cover, but also pushing certain cameras unless I really, really feel very, very passionate about them. And a lot of the cameras that are coming out right now, I don't really feel the passion because it's like cameras are just so good that it just becomes or really good or great becomes average. And once that happens, it's just like I can't really push things too far because then it's just like now I'm just marketing. Look, I mean, sure, it would help me. It would definitely help me put money in my pocket. It would help pay the bills, which I would really love and appreciate it. But I'm not. But if it comes at a compromise of either my integrity or putting someone else into financial ruin because they took my advice, you know, I don't want to I I want to make sure I take that onus and that responsibility very, very seriously. Let's see. Cha- thank you, man. Chamber is great to play. Chamber is a great place to build business. Great advice. There are plenty of work for everyone. They just have to be willing to go out and get it. Exactly. And as I said before, look, if things are slow, like again, find ways to create opportunities for yourself. Like if you got it, look, if you got something as simple as like an iPhone, even if you got something like an iPhone, like all right, I got an iPhone. Um, what can I work to get? Okay, let me get this case, and then let me get. There's a couple accessories. Maybe I can get something that can help me control the focus, get some NDs to control my exposure. What can I do to build it? Like start somewhere. We got stuff that we could start somewhere, and look, there are tons of opportunities with organizations wherever you are, particularly here in the United States. Um, there's always opportunities. Now, you got to understand you got to understand the the boundaries that you have to set and the boundaries you um any organization that you work with have to respect, because while yes they can provide opportunities, it has to make sense. It still has to make sense, even if you're doing something pro bono, it has to make sense. You Because just doing something, especially if you don't feel like you're able to either one push the boundaries of what you are if you either a can't push the boundaries of you as a creative, b build it create an opportunity to connect and build relationships with other businesses and long-term clients and partners, or c uh have an opportunity that you have onus over. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Especially for free. Like time is still value. You know, there's a lot of things you can get back in the world. Time on the earth is not one of them. So life is precious. Like don't wasted. Uh, I need a light. I basically have no lights. What should I get? Do I need lantern or softbox? Do I need those tube lights as well? I basically have zero lights. So what's a good kit to get started with? So, oh, I love this question. All right, the answer I think most people will probably give is a chip on board or a cob light. Um, and so I'm going to give two answers. They're going to be they may be um, opposing answers, but there will be a reason. Follow me. So one, I would say most likely a chip on board, because with a chip on board, a cob light you can basically formate it into something like a panel light. Like right now, again, the 660C cob light. I got this big, huge 120 centimeters soft bite tube light. Turns this into almost like a panel light. This is basically would be the effect of a panel light, or even something like a dome diffusion light. Like so I can I can really create a soft image with this light, right? I can create hard light, so I can get things like Fresnels or barn doors, things that I can do the shape, projectors, shape. So I guess the first one I would say is definitely a cob light. I would personally say at the I would say for most interior, I would say at the very least you would want a 300-watt light. But honestly, yeah, I would say most likely a 300-watt light. You will probably want that. If you can get something like a 500-watt, that would be great. Just to have one light that basically, depending on the interior that you have. Um, but here's the actual secret: like, there's all these these lights, and some of them are expenses, like aperture, uh, Nanlux, and things like that. But honestly, a lot of stuff is like a lot of good quality lights is really really cheap. Like I got like this my kicker light that's right over there. It's a Godox 100 MLR, which ML 100R, which I actually again also did a review on that light. Definitely check that out. But I have that, and I got a bunch of accessories that really help me shape it. Do that. But honestly, you can even go with practical lights from like your Lowe's or your Home Depot. Honestly, getting something like lights from like your Lowe's or your Home Depot, they're even there, the quality of light you got to check things like flicker free and things like that, things that you can maybe want to use for practical. So, uh, for example, the last day of this doc that I just said I just wrapped, um, there's a scene we basically were in this house the entire day, and there's this one, but at the end of the one of the last shots we had to do was a dinner scene, um, and we had to do it kind of right before sunset kicked up. But the location that we had these like low hanging chandeliers. I had my B7Cs, but there wasn't enough of them. So what we ended up doing is we just went to Lowe's or like a local home hardware store and bought some 45-watt light, a set of a set of three 45-watt tungsten lights, and they worked perfectly. And what made it great was that they were dimmable, and because the fixtures were also on a dimming circuit, which was also great that we learned. The point is that yeah, there's a good thing to have keys so you can sort of define, but also you can just go with like local Home Depot or something. And the other cool thing I also talk about lighting is getting things like modifiers, which again are really, really you can like yes, modifiers can get really really expensive if you're trying to get with like true professionals, but if you're just trying to build a kit out, like honestly, for years, I used as my diffusion. I used a shower curtain. I used a shower curtain as my diffusion for years. I actually still have it. I actually have, and then I have like an unbleached Muslim sheet that I just got off of Amazon. It was like $8. I got that. There's a there's insulate, and also a really also great sort of cool thing you can use as for lighting as well. It's an insulator foam board. Um, I I got this large insulator foam board from Lowe's. It was $12, and I use that as a bounce where I shoot like my hard light. I shoot it through there and then bounce it through like a diffusion, or I even use it to like bounce the sun either on the like the very shiny reflective side, or even on the more white side for like a softer bounce. So that in ultra bounce is like honestly getting something like an ultra bounce and just learning how to bounce. The key thing with light is yes, you can get light, and this is something I guess that's just probably going to have to be a larger discussion. And I would love to know what you guys think if you guys want this. But it's like the idea of or maybe I'll just make it like an individual video. But yeah, you could get these lights, but you also have to learn how light behaves. Um, and how to shape it, and sort of how it functions, both not just on skin but also on different textures. Because anybody that's filmed a wedding, you all know this. Lighting is so much different if a you're in a reception that has white walls and white ceilings versus like a reception in like a barn door style reception. Because anybody that's worked with light does not do well with wood, but you have to understand that. And if you understand that, you did have to use maybe more powerful lights. But learning shape and learn so much. The next thing is not only just, hey, you don't need to spend a lot of things. It's like get some practical lights, just let yourself one like cob light, and then find ways to figure out how to shape and shape things up. So that's my answer. Thank you. Uh, hey, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Me being the real one, at least for me being the real one. What if I'm a shy person with no network or friends? How do I expand my network? Um, Look, hey, I am. I'm gonna give two answers. I'll give it two answers for you, digital film. So one, I know this may seem strange as someone who talks on the internet, as a form of monetization, a form of sort of making trying to make some coins. And I use coins specifically because it's definitely coins of terms of payments that I get from YouTube. But I digress. The point I'm trying to say is that it may not seem like it, but I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to trying to speak to people. Um, but I have it. However, one of the things that I try to do is just before I even say anything, just listen. I try to listen. I just try to just try to learn about just learn, just sit, ask questions. Basically what I'm trying to say is still go to a networking event. It's like, yes, if you're a shy person, yes, because I am a shy person as well. It look simply saying, hey, I'm so and so and so and so. Hey, what do you do? You know, Eh, um, hey, what do you do? And sit there, learn, and continue just asking questions and sort of learning, inquiring about them. Because one, this does a twofold thing. One, it makes the person you're speaking to very, very appreciative because you're taking the energy and you're taking the time to learn about them. You're taking an interest in them. So you keep learning and then just listen out for things that you hear that you can, you know, bring yourself into the conversation, you know, and sort of just take things like that. See if there's something that commonality comes out, even if there's maybe if it's a conversation that can bring into debate, it can be good. Now, obviously, you got to be careful of certain subjects and certain topics and how you bring up certain subjects and topics. But that all comes down to, again, sort of being observant and seeing how do they respond, or how how their body language is on certain subjects and certain conversations. But I guess the long story short is like, yes, being shy is tough, but you got, even if you're shy, you don't have friends, just go out and try to find, just look up somewhere network. There's a lot of, Meetup, there's a lot of social groups, and they will post different things and different things, lots of free stuff, lots of free networking opportunities, um, where you can go connect and speak to people, and just, again, but at the end of the day, you want to be able to see somebody face to face, because seeing you face to face uh will already put you in people's minds first, before someone that they just DM and email over on the internet. You know, we humans are, by our nature, even though some of us, including myself to a certain extent, may not buy by this human nature rule, but we, by our nature, are social creatures. So, like, we thrive at, we grow and we're at our best when we actually build a thriving social structure. So now, that, before I go further on that, but yeah, um, so my suggestion is just like, still go out and network, but just listen, ask questions. So just take the time to listen, take the time to ask questions, take the time to learn people. So that's the thing that I'll say. Thank you, man. No problem. Shy filmmakers could be a brand catered to shy people. Hmm. I mean, that does. I will say this: it does sound like it. Shy filmmaker does sound like it would be like a great YouTube channel in a weird sense. Yeah, ex- 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 yeah, exactly what Cray says. You know, people love. You really would be surprised about how much people love to talk about themselves. There was actually at one of the events, the chamber events that I was filming, there was this, the keynote speaker was actually specializes in memory recall. And the thing that he brings up is that, make an effort to go and he says, make an effort to go and say the name over and over and over again, because that way, when you go and you think about a person again, you can be able to recall it. But also, people love hearing their names. That's the other thing he mentioned, is that people love hearing their names, and again, it shows that you are attentive and you are listening. And you would be really, really surprised when if you just give people attention, how that alone can give you, you know, an advantage. Shout out to Digital Film for the super chat. Appreciate you on that one, man. Yeah, you know, you know, I automatically feel people won't like me if I try. Sorry, why is preview? I if I try to put myself in front of people. No, like, as someone who is very, as someone, like, if you talk to my sister, or you talk to my business partner, or you talk to my wife, you would see me and just be like, they would just like, yeah, just like, they would tell you, yeah, I am shy, and I do get anxious when I'm in a social group and things like that. But I still take an effort. And the very least thing that I do every single time is try to listen. Just listen, just hear them, sort of respond. Because at the very end, it's like, and then once I hear something that I can sort of, okay, I can bring myself in the conversation. I can bring myself into the conversation. And ask questions, because at the end of the day, you're learning more about them, and then you can sort of insert yourself in this. And a lot of times, especially at networking events, people are going to want to learn what you do, because the whole point of a networking event is to connect with people that may be having needs, or at least at the very least, if it's a good if the networking is a good run networking or the organization is good at building actual networking events, people are there to learn what you do. People are willing to learn, are there to learn more about you. So, but taking the initiative to learn about what other people do and just ask questions. One, there's nothing, there's no harm in sort of gaining knowledge and learning somebody's field. Only and then for that you can come in and then sort of bring up your skills and your expertise and your knowledge and things like that. Even if you don't have to go into, you don't have to go deep dive into filmmaking. A lot of times I just say, hey, I own a film production company. We do X, Y, and Z, and so we do this. I primarily work in I primarily work in work as a cinematography director. I'd say that if I'm like in a filmmaking creative group, so I'll say, hey, I'm a cinematographer, colorist. If I'm more like businesses, I'll be like, I oversee. I tend to handle the operations, production. I oversee the production days and things like that. I talk about the years of experience that I've had in filmmaking. That I went to grad school for filmmaking, you know, and then I sort of tell like why I do it and sort of what is sort of the thing that makes me and my company unique. And that's already a starter. And then I sort of learn to see what sort of things that I can sort of push my knowledge into that, or maybe it's a conversation about movies, or we could talk about television shows. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I will talk for days about Andor. Uh, love that, absolutely love that show. It's one of the greatest pieces of television shows I've ever had and I've ever seen and ever experienced. But yeah, it's just yeah, digital film. Just you got to put yourself out there. I this is something that was berated in my head because again, I was like you. I was just like oh, okay, I just put in the work. I make great work and make great content. It'll get me noticed. No, people like cameras. There's a lot of people that do a lot of great work, but but when people see your face and see the work you do and see your face and they know you and they sort of get a sense of who you are as a person, what your values are, and your values line up with them, it will be so much easier to start getting more clients, more work on a consistent basis. So hopefully that was helpful. And this has been a great call. I did not think this was going to go for 2 hours, but I do have to because I have to get up early. So I haven't ate dinner yet, so I actually do need to eat. But I want to thank you guys all for joining me on this stream. If you guys are still here, please, because I see 11 people here, meaning there's 3 more people here that could essentially leave a like. If you haven't left a like, definitely leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it so YouTube would know what to do with this. But thank you guys for joining my stream. I love this. I'll try to do my best to come back on either Sunday or Monday, but I'll post this to do the next week's stream. But as always, until next time, take care, everyone.